So she just wanted to hear it from Paul's mouth that he's not transphobic.
So I said, Artie, I'm not transphobic.
Leadership and followership. This video is part of a short playlist on this channel discussing situations in which vegan followers rise up against their leadership. Activists decide to challenge the authority of the vegan organizations they're members of. This has been happening on a massive scale within Anonymous for the Voiceless AV, and right now, simultaneously, it's also happening within DXE, Direct Action Everywhere. Probably should be happening at PETA and a whole bunch of other organizations that frankly are garbage. All right? So there's an interesting phenomenon within the vegan movement. And right now, like within the last 48 hours, the leadership of Anonymous for the Voiceless has really been challenged. And a long list of chapters of local organizations have risen up and rebelled and said they're exiting Anonymous for the Voiceless. Now, why? There are maybe 3 reasons, and this video is dealing with the least important of the reasons. I'm going to have at least one sequel to this, probably uploaded within the next 2 or 3 hours. The least important reason is a controversy over transphobia, allegations that Paul Bashir was transphobic. In just a moment, you're going to see edited video of Paul giving his own side of the case. The deeper and broader issues, which we will deal with in the sequel to this, in part 2, are questions of the actual structure, organization, and leadership of Anonymous for the Voiceless itself, which have been discussed in great depth on this YouTube channel in the past. I've spoken to insiders from the organization. I've also spoken to disaffected former leaders, former participants who quit. There's a lot wrong with Anonymous for the Voiceless, and there are reasonably profound reasons for people to quit.
So, Artie, one of the organizers in New Jersey, reached out to Paul. She wanted to take a call. She kept following it up, and she kept saying it's urgent, and she wanted to take a call with Paul and myself. So we took a call with her and Dan, one of the other organizers in New York. And the basis of that phone call was that Artie just wanted to ask Paul basically if he was transphobic. And it goes back to the video that Nick just mentioned. So she brought that up and she said that there is a lot of concern around this topic in New York at the moment. And because you guys are coming to New York soon to run an event, we just want to make sure that this is addressed before you get here. And our first response was that that's not news to us. We already know that. We've already heard that before. And
we've also addressed it.
We've also addressed it. And Paul said, okay, Artie, I'm just trying to keep it short. So Paul said, Artie, what do you want me to do or say? Do you want me to just say to you that I'm not transphobic? And she said, yeah, that would be nice. So she just wanted to hear it from Paul's mouth that he's not transphobic.
So I said, Artie, I'm not transphobic. The basis of the call was to simply ask me if I was a transphobe or not.
That's it.
I mean, in what realm is that classified as reasonable research, as sound research into whether something is true or not? The fact is, I've been labeled a transphobe this whole time. And then so for one of our organizers to approach me like that, it also begs the question that if all you need from me is to say that I'm not a transphobe in order for you to believe it, what would make me think that you won't take somebody else's word for it when they say something to the contrary? And so I got worked up on the call and I was raising my voice. At no point did I yell at her, right? I wasn't cursing her out or anything like that. I was raising my voice because I was pissed off. It's not just a matter of what happened on this call. There was other things brewing.
Yeah. They were already planning on leaving and starting something else.
She also lied to us repeatedly on that call about what happened on the previous call. we had established, like we just said, that that call was based on hearing from me that I'm not a transphobe. That's what she wanted to have the call for. Then on the second call, she spun it and said that she just wanted to have a discussion with us and framed it as if it was just an innocent intention to have a discussion.
She contacted Artie to discuss this. And again, Artie was being very dismissive. She didn't want to have the conversation. So the decision was to ask her to stand down as an organizer. And then as a result of that, some of the other organizers in the other chapters in the area decided to also believe her side of the story without even asking for our side of the story, and they all stood down. So when Artie gets upset and leaves the call because Paul raised his voice a bit out of frustration, and then she will turn that into something else about her being abused by us, that's just ridiculous. I mean, of course, if you went up to herself or anybody else and you asked them if they're racist or sexist or if they're pedophiles, etc., you're not going to get a different response, because exactly what you guys said, it's shocking and it's demeaning and it's disrespectful to just throw an accusation like that at someone without any evidence. Just straight up ask the question.
Very briefly, what is the background to the transphobia controversy within Anonymous for the Voiceless? There is a very boring podcast or spontaneous interview that was conducted between the YouTuber Ask Yourself and Paul Bashir, leader for Anonymous for the Voiceless. YouTube is very strange because it can conceal even more than it discloses. The YouTube channel known as Ask Yourself, its whole history has been whitewashed and deleted. You can't see what that YouTube channel used to be like, and you have even less of an idea of what Isaac, the main personality there, what he was like on Discord. Discord is a chat service, voice chat primarily in that case. What he was like for a period of about 2 years when he was close friends with several neo-Nazis and white supremacists, and when he was really host to a lot of discussions and a lot of debates on the far right wing of the political spectrum, including literal Nazis. Sorry, but Isaac was close friends. So let's disclaim something here. Isaac himself identifies as Jewish. He's of Jewish heritage to some extent. I've never really talked about that with him. Like, I've never talked with him about what his Jewish heritage means to him, or, you know, how he feels about it, or what his perspective is. But he describes himself as Jewish. He has some Jewish background and engagement with that. But nevertheless, like, Isaac was close personal friends with a guy who was on YouTube uploading videos that were literally pro-Adolf Hitler. Like, I don't mean Nazi in some abstract sense. Pro-Adolf Hitler and, like, Julius Evola and these other, like, quote-unquote philosophers who were directly linked to Hitler and the Nazi Party. So to say there was, like, a cloud of controversy around Ask Yourself and the connection between Paul Bashir and Ask Yourself would be an understatement. However, there's nothing really controversial in that actual podcast, in the video where Ask Yourself is talking to Paul Bashir. What really happens is that Isaac, Ask Yourself, he asks some interesting questions. He tries to open some interesting areas of conversation. And every time Paul Bashir just kind of gets nervous and is like, no, man, we have those problems within Anonymous for the Voiceless, but I can't talk about it. Yeah, we have those allegations. There were those, but we can. I can't say anything about it. And at some points, Isaac says to him, like, oh, like, what do you mean? Like, oh, tell me. And Paul just won't budge. Nothing gets said. So people kind of picked up on the vibe of that video. And then, again, fairly or unfairly, there was this shadow hanging over Ask Yourself as a YouTube channel and whatever, as a personality on the internet, because of his association with right-wing and racist figures, you know, including most notoriously Corey McCarthy. Corey McCarthy is a white supremacist. And again, that's not reading between the lines. It's not exaggerating. Corey McCarthy is a guy who openly advocated. He advocated for all black people being removed from North America to make North America a white-only nation state and that kind of stuff. Like real real racism as a political program. So, you know, I mean, the only credit I can give to Ask Yourself, just to be fair in mentioning this, is that he moved on. I mean, and his whole Discord discussion server moved on. I was there one time, more than 6 months ago, and I was like, Isaac, like, what happened to you? You used to be surrounded by these like right-wing people and neo-Nazis, and now you're surrounded by communists. They weren't just left-wing people, they were like extremist communists. And there were several people in the discussion group who'd been there continuously for whatever, 3 years at that point or something, like since the beginning. And they said to me, you know, some of these guys who are now communist extremists, just like 1 year ago, they were right-wing, like racist extremists. Like they were like some of them were the same people who went from one extreme ideology to the other. Okay, so look, I'm not a fan of Ask Yourself. I'm not a fan of his channel. I'm not a fan of his approach to vegan activism. I'm not a fan of him personally. We're not friends. However, I think it's important for me to fill in on that personal level that you know. There's nothing to see. There's nothing controversial within the discussion Paul had with Ask Yourself. But nevertheless, I understand why there were kind of these rumblings of controversy and questions that were raised by the predominantly left-wing followers of Anonymous or the Voiceless when they saw this really strange and tense conversation between Paul and Isaac. I mean, I guess you can say that was a conversation that raised more questions than it answered.
These accusations thrown towards you guys' way, towards AV and all this other and everything like that, I find that every single one of the people that are making these claims and accusations, I always ask them for evidence or proof, and I never get it. And that's 100% of the time. The one time that someone did link me to something, it was from a video that Paul, I guess you were on Isaac's YouTube video, Ask Yourself.